Doing?
I'm doing awesome. Okay, what we were going to talk about today was staging your home for sale and a couple really quick do's and don'ts. And there's several blogs that are written about this, but basically the idea is not to sell yourself into, not to dig a hole, not to create a problem where there isn't one, and overdo things in order to flip your house or to sell it. That's going to come back and bite you in the hiney.
Hmm.
And so to that end, when you're selling a home, um, in the article that this is going to be embedded in, it was basically recommending very common sense approach: cleaning it, dusting it. If you have an Irish Wolfhound that's massive, putting him in the backyard, uh, cleaning the kitty litter box and things like that. And if you were, and also I'm not a big fan of hiring a stager. I think that's something that's just kind of a waste of money. There's too many ways that you can do things yourself. What are your thoughts on doing home improvements, and how do you approach this?
Yeah. Well, home improvements are the big thing everybody wants to know. Should I go ahead and do?
Hmm.
And basic things like that you just went over are ideal. If you have, a room. I mean, if you're in desperate need of some paint or something along those lines, little things that are going to accrue a little bit of cost and have a big return are going to be good things.
Okay.
But, somebody has come to me just recently and, they have the Formica countertops and, some outdated appliances. The bathroom is in dire need of some upgrading and want to know, hey, should I go ahead and invest in all of these things? I definitely tell them in those situations, don't do it. And the reason is the return on your investment is going to be really minimal. If you go ahead and remodel the kitchen and you spend $25,000 doing that, is that going to help you sell your home? Yes, it really will, because there's an updated kitchen. But the thing is, you spent $25,000 doing it. Are you going to get, is your house now worth $25,000 more?
No.
Absolutely not. Maybe it's worth about 30% more, or 30% of the value of the improvement. So like on a $25,000 improvement, I mean, you're doing good if you get, 8,000 bucks, more in your home value. So it wasn't really worth it.
No, you're going to actually lose about 20,000. And
Yeah.
I know we all love home and garden television. I happen to like it, and the do-it-yourself shows and all the stuff that's going on. But and if I call my local realtor, my local roofer, excuse me, down the road and say, "Hey, do I need a new roof? Because I want some cool slate stuff," he's going to jump on that like a chicken on a June bug and tell me, "Yes, go for that. You need an entire new roof." The
Hmm.
truth is, I can spend $15,000 to $30,000 on that, and I'm only going to actually get out of that sale probably about 5 or 6,000, like you just said, maybe at the most 7, just doubtful. And it, if I had just adjusted my price down a few $1,000s to make my home more attractive, uh, obviously, if you've got something that looks like you have a grotto in your ceiling where you have a nice waterfall effect coming down, maybe you do want to go ahead and do some patching and
Yeah.
repairing. But the idea is to spend money smartly, to use your brain a little bit, and to only do those things that will actually improve the value of your home at a higher return rate than digging yourself into a bunch of debt that's going to come basically flush it down the toilet.
Right. Well, and it's going to come right out of your equity. And I mean, the roof is an interesting one because, just like you said, I mean, if your roof really is non-insurable and it's leaking, I mean, of course, in those situations, nobody's going to want to purchase a house with those kind of issues. And regardless, a lender's not going to want to go ahead and finance the transaction.
Right.
So roof, foundation, and a good HVAC, those are three very important things to make sure that are set up on your house and that everything's good, because those are the things the lender's really going to be focusing on. Now then, if you just want a metal roof because your neighbor has a metal roof, well, I would not go ahead and recommend, spending that kind of money just on an upgrade. These kind of upgrades will make the house more attractive, but it doesn't really add a lot of value to the property. So let's say you're thinking about selling your home in 2 to 3 years. Well, great, do some of those improvements. Enjoy those improvements. Get some value out of it yourself. And then when you turn around to go sell your home, you're going to be able to have something that's a little bit more attractive to a buyer. But if you're just looking at selling your home, do the minimal things to go ahead and clean up and get your property ready for showings. Really, one of the big things that I tell people to go ahead and do, aside from the obvious, which are the things that you went ahead and mentioned, you're selling your home. So you're going to end up moving anyways. First things first, get rid of the clutter. Nobody cares about the pictures of your family, all your little knickknacks, the statue that you got in the corner. I mean, I'm sure you love those things, and I'm sure people have admired those things about your property, but those are not the things buyers are looking for coming into the property. Actually, having things very bare, very minimal is a really good way to go ahead and allow the buyer to come in and not envision what you've done, you the seller have done with the space, but it allows a blank canvas for the buyer to go ahead and envision their stuff in your space. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. If you go to model homes where builders, they have a minimal decorations. They're basically enhancing the space and showing you what the potential, but they don't overdo it. So my advice is, if you have the poker-playing dogs up on the back wall that your auntie gave you, or the Velvet Elvis from the 1970s, you may think Velvet Elvises are really, really cool, kind of kitschy, not kind of nice. I love a Velvet Elvis. However, it's probably going to be a little bit overwhelming for the buyer, and you're not trying to sell your space. You're trying to sell it as their space. Mm-hmm. So I don't recommend that you just strip it down to bare wood. However, I think the minimalist approach where you box up the majority of your stuff, to me, if you're going to spend a little bit of money, spend a little bit of money on a storage space if those things are things you can't live without. Use tasteful decorations, and of course that's going to vary with everybody, but you know, it's in my office back here. I have the red wall. I happen to love that red wall. If I were selling this office space, though, somebody might not like the fact that a portrait of my son is hanging in the back, or that I have a red wall. And so I always say to clients, make sure you use kind of neutral colors, earth tones, neutral colors, things that are traditionally tasteful, and don't go over the top. Don't get garish. Don't get too kitschy with it. Just basically make an open, airy space.
Mm-hmm. Those are great things to go ahead and be thinking of. You know, the living room space is a big one where people come on in. Yeah, of course the TV hanging is a good thing to go ahead and have. Right. But maybe you really like to entertain, and so you have a lot of different seating in your living room. Well, remove that. Minimize that down to the one couch and the love seat. You know, the nice, clean end table. You know, if you have, you know, even all the coasters and the pictures and all the, remove all that stuff. You're not coming in to entertain these people. They're coming in to go ahead and visualize the space as their own. So try to make things very minimal. Make sure things are clean, nice. If there's a stain on the couch cushion, hey, flip that cushion over. But, you know, aside from that, I mean, be smart about what you're doing. Remove your stuff, your bills. One of the big things that people miss out on, though, that you want to make sure that you have out, because these people are going to have access to your home, go ahead, make sure any kind of personal items, sensitive information are all removed. Take out all of your medicines out of the medicine cabinet, especially your prescriptions and those kind of things. Buyers are nosy. They are going to go ahead and rummage around some different things. You know, there may be 2 or 3 people in there with one realtor. The realtor can't see everything that everyone's doing. So, you know, be smart about it. Don't have any sensitive documentation roaming around, any bills or anything along those lines. And, you know, just be smart about what's there. Take a critical eye of the house and make sure that you've removed all of those different things that, you know, might go ahead and deter the buyer or disclose some stuff about yourself that you don't want people to know about.
Yeah, put that Ritalin prescription away, and
exactly.
Put the Yeti dog in the backyard. Clear out your Velvet Jesus, or not, you know, if you have a very tasteful picture painting of the Last Supper, nothing wrong with that. But if you've got the traditional 1970s garish colors, ixnay on that, and get rid of the things that might over-pronounce your home.
Mm-hmm.
And then clean things up a little bit, even just washing the windows, taking a picture of your house from the other side of the street, and then looking for things will be helpful.
Oh yeah, for sure. Make sure your landscape's in good shape, you know. One of the other things that I really like people to go ahead and take a look at is, you know, when they approach the house, the very first thing that they're going to see on your house, of course the curbside appeal walking up to it, but they're going to walk up to your front door. They're going to be fishing around for their realtor key and trying to go ahead and gain access and get the key and unlock the doors. So bear that in mind. Make sure that that front little entryway is well lit, very clean. Maybe the front door needs another paint job or a little bit of staining. You know, make sure that that area, because that's an area, that a confined space that they're going to be stuck in for a minute, that's really going to have a big influence of them walking into the house. So the curbside appeal, the landscaping that's out front, I'm not saying go buy new trees or shrubs or anything like that. Just clean up what's there. I love that you pointed out cleaning up the windows. It's one of the things people miss out on a whole lot. And those pesky blinds, make sure all of that's in good shape, because those are items that are going to be staying with the house as well. So if they're nice and clean, that's one less thing for the buyer to have to go ahead and worry about later on down the road as well.
And I think one of the things is people live in a space and you become so comfortable with it, you forget about things. You don't look at it from the perspective of someone seeing it with fresh eyes. So, again, even if you use your cell phone to go around your room and take pictures of things, something about seeing them in a different medium can point things out to us that we might not really notice that stain, because in real life we walk around it or we walk over it so many times, but when you see it through a photograph, it tends to capture it differently. It captures your attention differently, and like you were saying, they're at the front door. I think sometimes people become inured to their own normal things. You don't always have pristine glasses that you're looking through your windows. But if you're a buyer, you're going to get that dingy feeling. And even if you don't know why you don't like the property, that might be why. A lot of our brains, and people may not know this, a lot of our brains pick up on things that our conscious mind does not. Mm-hmm. So you go into a room and it doesn't have necessarily a good feel. Maybe there's an odor that's barely noticeable that the person doesn't consciously recognize, but it's there, and your body picks up on it. You pick up on any smells, any sounds, any ambient temperature. Pick up on all these things, and if the energy, the feng shui of the house is off for some reason, it feels cluttered, it feels dirty, it feels unsafe for some reason, fire's going to be put off.
Mm-hmm. So no, all those things are very true. You know, so you know, and yes, it is a little bit of an expense to go ahead and have the carpet shampooed and things along those lines. But especially if you got pets and those kind of things, you want to be aware of these items. You know, moving into it. You know, I know that it doesn't work for everybody, but if you have a situation where you can remove the pets off the premises, go ahead and do that. A lot of people nowadays have allergies, you know, especially, you know, the cat, who is a good cat, doesn't cause any kind of trouble, but somebody walks in and they get the smell of animals in the house. That's not over the long run. Now then, if things are nice and clean and the animals are out back, that's not really going to cause a big issue. But if you're lucky enough to have a friend or a relative that during this time of people coming in and visiting your home, if you can remove the animals out of it, that really will be a great thing. If you can't do that, totally understand, but make sure it's nice and clean. There's not evidence of the pets everywhere. They can be in a little kennel or in a room aside. That's not going to go ahead and cause a big issue, but you don't want to give the buyer any reason not to like the premises. I mean, you're lucky enough at this point that they've seen your listing online, they like the house, they saw the pictures, it encouraged them enough to come on out to the property. Don't give them a reason to not like the property after that. If you're a smoker, don't go outside to go ahead and smoke. People don't want to come into a house. Smokers. A lot of smokers don't like the smell of smoke. So, just be conscious of the things that you're doing there, making sure your place is presentable, and doing the little things will have a huge impact on the buyers when they come on out.
Right, and I even say, Febreze is our friend, basically. Smokers and people who have cats often don't pick up on the odors. Actually, after you've been around a smell for a while, it goes down 20% and then 50%. So that you're used to it. It's new. It's not no longer new, so your body doesn't notice it. Other people do. Yeah. And so little things like making sure that the upholstery doesn't have cat hair on it, that that there's not a. If you're going to have to keep your kitty there, great. Mr. Tinkles can stay there, but make sure Mr. Tinkles' litter box has a charcoal filter above it, that it's clean, that the house smells good. Go out for a while, come back in, smell your house. It's kind of the same thing. What do you notice? Febreze the heck out of it. Don't go crazy with the chemicals and the scented candles. Mm-hmm. One or two pleasant smells, really nice. Oh, if the smell of jasmine is so overwhelming that your eyes are watering, however, mm-hmm. that's just as bad as Mr. Tinkle's litter box.
Oh, yeah. No, it certainly can be. So, I mean, all good things in moderation, or else it's just going to be a little over the top. When you come on in and, doing the touch-up painting, the cleaning of the carpets, these things are going to add a nice appeal to the property when people are coming on over. And yeah, it's minimal sense because, yeah, you may love the smell of, I can't remember the kind of incense my wife likes, but other people,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but other people are going to might go ahead and just totally turn them off on that. So be smart about it. Having, it clean, ready to go ahead and present is really going to be half the battle. And then from there on out, listen to the feedback of other people that come and see the property and, adjust accordingly. But no, there's no sense in going ahead and spending tens of thousands of dollars getting your property ready to show. Be smart about it, and you're not going to have any problems moving forward.
And if for some reason you're too busy or you're not physically capable of doing the type of deep cleaning we're talking about, my advice would be to spend a couple $100 and hire a couple maids who will do an incredible job versus spending $10,000 to put down new counter or new tile, because that's something you're going to recoup. A clean, safe-feeling home that appeals to people will sell much more quickly. And then rather than upgrading that entire roof or upgrading your kitchen. And besides, no one says if your upgrade is something that someone else is going to like. Mm-hmm. I may have teak or mahogany or some beautiful wood brought in because it suits my sensibilities. The buyer may not like that. So even if you go and get all those fancy doorknobs that you think are so cool, they may hate it. You may be doing yourself a disservice. Keep what you have, clean it, make it smell pretty, make it sexy, but don't spend a lot of money on it.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up. I had this conversation with the seller a couple months back, and and so they went ahead and gutted out all of the carpet, laid new carpet all throughout the house. Still weren't getting the traction. We pulled market analysis that we talked about earlier, showed them that they were priced well above what their neighbors were. They ended up reducing the price of the property a little bit, and it actually went ahead and sold. But the funny thing was, he called me up a couple weeks ago and told me that he drove back by the property, and all that new carpet that he had laid in the property was sitting out on the front curb.
Oh, wow.
The buyers had went ahead and come on in there and retextured and replaced the majority of the flooring in the home. So, yeah, he thought that he was doing a great service by putting in this nice carpet in the house, but in all reality, it was wasted money. The ultimate problem was he was just priced too high in this situation. And so he ended up having to spend money on carpet that wasn't necessary, and then ended up having to reduce the cost of the property. So it was kind of a double whammy for him. And he told me, the next time that he had listened to us when we told him, hey, The problem is not the carpet. In this situation, the problem was the price.
Well, I think that's a wonderful antidote, and thank you for sharing. And I don't want to take up any more of your time. And also, I noticed that we're having a little bit of glitch on our screens here. So, Mark, thank you so much. And I'm going to post this along with a few other tips and tricks. And each of the blogs has some few links to places that people can go to see. It has some videos on how to do it yourself. Well, links to videos about doing it yourself, patching a hole in the wall, doing some simple things, and how to do them in an elegant and tasteful way that'll help you sell your home. And thank you for everything you provided, and I appreciate your time.
Hey, well, thank you, Victoria, for your time. And, of course, on our website, creekviewrealty.com, there's a ton of tips about getting your house ready to go ahead and sell. If you got any specific questions, don't hesitate to go ahead and give us a phone call here at the office. Any one of our agents will help walk you through some of these basic things to go ahead and get your home ready. Our toll-free number is 1-800-219-9444. You can ask for Mark. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.